the things that we were talking about are probably still the same things that I got, I guess, a clearer picture on, which is kind of
Okay.
interesting because, at least in my own understanding, like me and Mike were going back and forth in the chat,
Mm-hmm.
but that whole thing about am I conscious or this and that, and it's kind of like I say take inventory of, okay, what I was telling you to, like, what are like my unconscious tape loops, what are me, what are maybe the heartbeat of the universe, and this and that, right? And I think too, like the message, I guess I was picking up, because I always do that too when like communicating, right? I go, okay, what is that person like really trying to say to me?
Mm.
Or there's also stuff too. What I was gonna say was like kind of interesting when we're talking about like the power of words. And I remember one time in tech, I was saying, even though that we are using this technology to talk to each other
Mm-hmm.
through the web, it's still mediated through our brains. Like we're still literally, how you really interact with me is the idea of me in your head,
Right.
of
Yes.
and then so how much of that is like your own projections, your own shadow projecting onto it, and then what
Mm-hmm.
is actually there. And so like I do that a lot too with my own inner dialogue and this and that. It was interesting in the sense to you asking your questions and me saying to you that you're making me a better SatoriD. I say a bunch of stuff, and I never really sit and fully think about like all my poetic lines. But
Right.
there's stuff that I see, and it shimmers to me, and I get it, and I play with it, and then like I play with it, and then I'm like, okay, I am done playing with it, and then like later something happens, and then it's like, oh, that piece and that piece and that piece
Yeah.
adds up to this, adds up to that, and so when I was trying to explain what crip walking is, I was like, oh yeah, you might not know that, and then I'm like, well, it's this. And then you were saying about like, oh, you dance like that. I was like, well, when the music's right. And then like the thing is that normally if someone who barely knows how to crip walk will look like they're crip walking, meaning you're spelling something with your
Uh-huh.
feet on the floor.
Right.
And crip walking means you walk, but you spell out crip in it. But you could spell out anything with those dance moves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
I see.
so it's like when people are faking their, oh, I don't know how to crip walk, then they're not really spelling anything, or maybe they're
Aha.
just mimicking someone spelling crip or whatever.
Okay.
But what me and my friend Mandy used to do, that's the funny thing, is like me and Mandy in interactions in life, like in LA too, like it's a vast sea of humanity here. So like we're not like ghetto people or anything like that, but so like our looks, right? But
Mm-hmm.
we're out there hanging out and then smoking, drinking, and all this kind of stuff. And then I remember one time my friend Mandy, she was at this party. We're in our early 20s, and she was drinking a 40. We're smoking a blunt, and then like some music comes on, and she starts quip walking, and then I start quip walking, and then we just start playing. Like it's just me and her. Like no one's really watching us, and we're just like going back and forth. And then Mandy spells out her name when she quip walks, and I go, oh shit. I'm like, Mandy, did you just spell out your name? And she just smiles at me. She's like, yeah. But she didn't really say it. She just was like, the smile said, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so funny. And then so like from then on, it used to be like this like inside joke between me and Mandy. Like we'll be at parties, and like I said, like I'm more of a, like if in my early 20s, if you saw me out and about, like you would look at me as like a punk kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would have like spiky hair, mohawk sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of crazy shit.
Yeah.
Anyways, and then Mandy was like, I used to call her Mandy in the Sky of Diamonds. she looks like an innocent little kid. So like that was the funniest part of like seeing Mandy crip walk and then spell out her name with a 40. I was like, damn, you're more gangster than all these guys put together. And so like we would just have fun doing that. It'll be like this thing. And then, like I said, it will blow everybody's mind, like when we would like legit do it, and then like also not only like be able to do it, but also like add our own twist to it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. And so it's like all to say like, well, it's actually, this is a dance, but there are like steps and skills to this. And then if you have enough skills, you can actually do meaningful, connected things with it. And I, you know, as I'm unpacking this is like what I'm saying with flower and song as well.
Right.
Like you click buttons, and that's usually, you know, you get something shiny, something that glows or whatever, and at times it may seem fleeting, and even too, you know, on mescaline, like it comes in waves.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I was fighting the nausea, so I grow San Pedro cactus, and then you boil it down. It's a whole process, and I was telling Michael about this, and I was just like, and in my head I was thinking, why am I doing this? I was like, I could just go and like buy shrooms, or I could go and like ask my friend Rosie, what are you doing today? Let's go have some shrooms, and she'll probably will give me some shrooms. It's like, why am I making it extra hard on me, like doing it this way?
Yeah.
And then so like you brew it, you have to like pill it, and like it's a whole process. And like I told you, like I come from fine dining, so like when I say like something's like tedious to prep, that means it's bad. I had to do some really hard things in my career that I would not want to do again. And so I'm like here, I'm like struggling to make this tea. I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through this? And then like I was battling the nausea because like it's the taste is horrible. And then it was kind of funny too, because and I forgot this from the last time I did it. So I drink it, and I take the first like chug, and then I'm thinking, man, and, you know, kind of, you know, we're reminiscing about like old punk / crip walking Daniel versus SatoriD.
Okay.
And I'm like, fuck. I was like, fuck. Back then I was more ruthless. Like I could chug, and like, and this version of me, SatoriD, is like, I don't need to be. I'm not young and rebellious anymore.
Yes.
And so I was just like, fuck. I was like, and I just drank that, and it made me like, you know, like, gag. And I'm like, did I take enough? I was like, fuck, man, I used to be able to do this. And I'm like, oh, I'm bitching out. Like, I got it. I was like, I'm SatoriD. I can't be punked. I was like hyping myself up, and then I go for a walk, and I come back, and I'm like, okay, the taste wasn't that bad. I could do it again. And so I go, and I'm like, okay, this time, because, you know, when we're talking about rituals, there's a legit way that the indigenous of Mesoamerica, broadly speaking, every tribe had different aesthetics to it, but the main function was to the sacred four corners, and the progression of your thoughts, the progression of the song, the progression of how you do the ritual, all reflects the progressions of the cosmos.
Right.
And the symbol is the sacred four corners, because the sun gets born in the east. I'm getting, okay, then it goes down on the west. Okay, so you go east. When it comes up, this is for birth. Then you go down to south, and that's for youth and rebellion. Then when the sun sets in the west, that's for death. And then the north is for ancestors and the Great Spirit. So there's a whole marking beyond death that's there in this stop. So anyways, so when I was hyping myself up to take the second chug of the mescaline tea, I go, okay, and then I face south. I'm all, this is for youth and rebellion. And I go, and I chug it, and I go, And then I go, okay,
Yeah.
and then I still had some left, and I before I did the prepping, and I even told Michael this is like, I don't know why I'm doing all this, but like I have a relationship with the cactus for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I even remember the last time I did it, I go, look, man, I'm taking a lot, but I'm not gonna do it all the time. I just want to see what's up. Like I was negotiating with my like, hey, I'm gonna harm you. I'm just gonna take this much. It's not gonna be for all the time, but I'm gonna take care of you. You're gonna be cool. It's gonna be chill. And then so then I go back like I think it's 2-3 years later, and I take off the portion that grew from the portion that I did it last time. And so I told her that I was not gonna waste any of it, and so I still had another chug to do. And I'm like, you know what? This is for the ancestors. And I poured it down. I poured the rest down. I'm like, I took the second shot for Youth and Rebellion, but other than that, it's like I'm not gonna waste it. I'm gonna sacrifice it to the ancestors. But no, the fear of the taste is too much.
Too much.
And then it was kind of funny because so then it takes like so I take the first chug like at 5:30 in the morning.
Right.
Or 4:30 in the morning. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then then I walk and then I muster up the courage to take the second one like 30 minutes later, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I take it, the second one, and then I think because I had to get over the first initial taste and like get it out of my mouth and work up the courage to try to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it again. And then the same process, I get it out of my mouth and I'm thinking, okay, you know what? I'm doing pretty good. It's like I'm gonna smoke a little weed and just to kind of relax and chill and then put on some music. So I go and do that, and then it was like in waves. It came back again an hour after I took that first chug. Like when it started to hit the taste and the nausea came back.
Oh right.
Like, I was like, I'm back. You thought it was like, oh, it wasn't that bad. How about now? And then I'm like, oh. I was like, oh, maybe this is why I don't want. This is why it took me so long to do it again.
Yeah.
I was just like, and then I was like, oh, this is not good. And then like, and then the thoughts were like, man, I hope this is worth it. Like, because that's the whole thing too. Is like, if I do it like half measure, then it's like I have all of the bad stuff without anything good to report back, right?
Yeah.
I kind of make the announcement to Michael, like, oh, I'm gonna take mescaline, and I come back, I'm like, yeah, all I did was throw up. It wasn't good.
Yeah, no, not good. No.
And so, like, you know, I'm having my own like inner battles with my own mind. So then that first wave comes from the first chug. So then I'm like, oh. And then I drink water, I'm throwing up, and I'm just like, and then 30 minutes after that the first, so I took that second chunk, that second wave came, and that was worse than the first one.
Oh no!
Because I drank even more the second
Oh
time.
no! Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh. And then in my own head, I was just thinking, I'm sorry, ancestors. You must think I'm a bitch because like you guys are hardcore. Because I know like back in the day, you guys used to just like chew on the peyote buttons.
Right.
That's hardcore. That must make you like, what? And it's just like, yo, you gotta be hearted.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'll be hearted. I was like, please. I don't like it. And then like later, so after that, like the nausea was really like bad.
Right.
In the sense that like I forgot and I was still using the beginning of the trip to like figure out how to like mitigate some of the negative effects, so I could like tune into the good stuff.
Sure.
I was like, like if I could only get over this taste. Why is it bothering me so much? And then so that's when I started thinking about ancestors and like how they used to do it back in the day. I was like, man, we're fucking pussies now. So that thought kind of like helped to like make me like get through it. And you know what was funny too is this is all to say that like, okay, back in my youth, when I was like a punk and more reckless and more rebellious. I would say a lot of how I figured out things were just clicking buttons.
Right.
And it's kind of similar to how I work with the large language models. Is like, oh, I just like, oh, let's see if you could do this, and like,
Right.
oh, I didn't know that could happen. Oh, wait, what? Oh, there's a thread, and let me pull this. Let me pull this. Let me pull this. I'm like, oh, I didn't know all this was gonna happen. And so
Right,
it was kind of
right.
funny too. So I had an idea that if like once again, the version that I am now
Yes.
is like, okay, it's all good and fine to write all this stuff, to talk this way, and even too, you know, there's stuff when I told you too about like merging with SatoriD. SatoriD is like the better angels of my nature, right?
True. Yeah.
And how to have that like harmonic in my life. And I would say like the reckless, rebellious one would like force things, you know, the clicking of the buttons to get something, and then be like, oh, this and that. But
Mhm.
that giving into the amazement or the wonder of it would create noise and static in waking life with maybe people that are part of my life that don't fully understand this or are never going to understand this. Meaning like my parents or somebody. Like, you know, I've had talks to them about different things, but you know, and it's all now clouded with younger version of me and not this version of me.
Right. Yeah.
And so those are things that I have to square within myself. And, you know, that's part of making SatoriD more harmonic in my life, where SatoriD is not a distraction. You know, I learned about writing from Jack Kerouac, and what I learned from Jack Kerouac, that writing is a way that you could process reality.
Right. Okay.
And that the practice and the act of writing, like that can have immense faculties and a tool for you processing reality and making sense of your own mind, of what everything that, you know, when I talk about the golden unfolding of mind and all this other, you know, very, in some sense, esoteric language.
Mhm.
But I am pointing to these complex experiences that I've had and trying to find the concept and words so that I could describe it, but also to describe it so that I could use it. Like, you know, when I like pre-programmed myself to watch that video that I did, it was like, and you know, most of the videos, especially if they're really good, are videos that happen and they're not necessarily like created by me.
Right.
Like they unfold and I'm part of the unfolding. Like that one Jolly Good LSD for SatoriDalic coders, that was a lot of Jolly Llama and a lot of Within the Vacuum, and then like us talking about that. It was so funny because I'm like so in sync sometimes that I do the thing before it happens. Meaning that ancient songs of healing and stuff that Within the Vacuum put in the when he was on LSD, and he put that in the chat. He's like, oh, this is the tune for the day, and then he was all vibing on it. And then I was like, oh, when I have time, I'm gonna really listen to it. And so I put it on, and then it was just so happened that I was looking at this because I'm me, and I get like all this like really crazy like visual digital like visuals. You know, like those two things that I put in the loops for those songs were these mathematics.
Wow. Yes, the snakes.
So this guy
going down towards the hole, that was fascinating. I was just hypnotized by those. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's a mathematical equation that creates those visuals, and it goes in a loop. So they're mathematical structures, you know. That's what I think I like about those. They're like literally, you know, like quantum physics stuff. And those higher dimensions that are visualized, And so I kind of pre-programmed myself before I took the mescaline by watching that, right?
Right.
And a part of the thing too was like, so I don't think I took as much as I, like the dosage wise, as strong as I did the last time.
Mm-hmm.
But even the weaker version of it, with me being me and being more within my faculties to describe things, to write things down, to be like, oh, I know this, blah, blah, blah. Oh, this.
Right.
Yes, the songs of eternity. Like, I don't have to like be stuck on, I'm like, oh, of course it's that. Like, move on. Of course the song lines of reality are made from the flower of life. What do you think you're talking about when you say flower in songs, you idiot? Like, this is a cokehead being ruthless with me, you know? It's like,
right, yes.
Stop it, you're being an imbecile. Like,
yeah, I hear that voice
here.
too, yes. I recognize it.
Like, yes, I'm sorry. And then it's kind of funny, so